pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson into the one to Brown. Brown goes in to score.
Ali Salvia down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're gonna win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
All right, we go again, SDS, and yes, the voice, still not 100%. The benderitis drags on to a second week. Probably didn't help, got on the steam again on the weekend. Hadn't forecasted that one. Of course, Northcote quarterfinal, was hoping we would tick boxes and advance into the semi-final this week, but it wasn't to be. Win or lose on the booze, season over. Had to send it Saturday, which dragged on into Sunday morning as well. And look, here we are, still a bit under the weather as the result, so bear with me there. Tough scenes for the Coat. Real bummer to go out that way. It is what it is. We were meant to be the lucky losers, but there was an upset in another game. Fifth bet second. So unfortunately, that's our season done and dusted. And my playing career for the Coat done and dusted as well. Got prize giving 9th of August, so that'll be the final send before I look to move into the world of coaching potentially in 2026. But anyway, on to this week's pod we march. Couple boxes to tick before we rip in. First one, TAB code for this week. Use the code SURLY and then place a first, second or third try scorer bet on any NRL game this weekend. And if your player doesn't score first, second or third, your bet loses. You'll get your money back up to $20 in bonus cash, one per round as always. So again, the code is SURLY, first, second or third try scorer bet in any NRL game this weekend. Your bet loses, you'll get your money back as bonus cash up to $20. So get around that. And again, thanks to the TAB, always appreciate their support. Loyal to the soil, they've been with us from basically day one. So get around them. Second piece of admin, the Surly Talk Sports Golf Day brought to you by Canadian Club. Drop number 1 of tickets. Sold out in just over 20 minutes. Crazy scenes. Luckily, there is a second drop, which will go down on the 20th of July at 6 p.m. again. These tickets are going to go fast. The first lot sold in record time. The second lot, there's less groups available, less tickets available, so that's going to go even quicker. DM me if you're keen to get the link ahead of time so you can save that in your favourites so that you're ready to go when they drop on the 20th. But if you're hoping to play in that day, it's going to be a heck of a day too, then set your alarms now for the 20th, because if you snooze, you lose. And August 2nd is going to be absolute scenes at Pupuki, and you're going to want to be amongst that. But a big pod today, of course, All Blacks bet France. There's a shit ton of international rugby on at the moment, including that Anzac 15 this weekend to take on the Lions. So we'll tick all those boxes there. Some punting chat, Q&A, that's back for this week. Plus, up next, we've got my great mate, Blake Ayshford, jumping on to talk all things Warriors ahead of this Warriors-Tigers game this weekend. And some big selections from Webby as well. So without further ado, let's get into that chat with Aish. Right, here he is, the Prince of Papamoa ahead of the Blake Ayshford Bowl this weekend. Tigers versus Warriors, mate. Before we get into that, though, how's things, bro? Obviously, school holidays, bit of a frantic time for you.
It is very frantic at the moment. 3 kids at home. Trying to be cool, Dad.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, no, not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. Obviously, can't get out and play golf, so that's caused me 2 weeks of heartache. And probably my game's going to get worse. Not that it was ever good, but trying to keep these kids occupied for 2 weeks is tough. But getting through it, mate. Other than that, I've been good. Just hands in a lot of pies, is the saying, I believe.
Yeah.
Just trying to get some money and some opportunities everywhere. So, yeah. No. It's about
Absolutely. You're killing it, bro. I hear you everywhere. Sport Nation, League Lounge, the works. So
yeah, they're going to get sick of me soon.
Yeah, nah, never, mate. Never. One thing you won't get sick of as well, your Tigers on the weekend. And I feel like every team does this when they take on the Warriors or the week before, right? Horrible form. Then they hit their straps the week before they play us. Plus, they get back Opi Coruscant this weekend, which every player just seems to recover the week they play us too. But how happy were you watching that Roosters game on the weekend?
Mate, I'm not going to lie, because I actually thought they were going to lose. When you look at the stats, I can't remember the last time they beat them, but I heard a stat during the week. They haven't won away from home against the Roosters since 2009. So, like, I was still playing then. So I know how long ago that was. Um, but, yeah, look, I was happy to see the result, the win, but it was very nerve-wracking that last 20 minutes, because with Teddy and Tupou and those players, I just knew they were coming. I knew they were coming. But I felt happy for Benji more than anything as well, that the players stood up for him. So I thought that was good.
Oh, he's been copping it a lot, eh? And it seems like every week there's a new story. You know him quite well. Like, how out of character is all that stuff that people are saying? Like, do you believe any of it?
No, look, he's a lot of the stuff. I know he can be hard as well at times. But to be honest, a lot of the stuff like players not liking him and things, I find it hard to believe. I find if they didn't like him and they didn't want to play for him, I wouldn't have seen that performance, let's say, from Adam Dewey on the weekend. He was probably one, like him and Fainu in the halves were outstanding. He was in everything. And look, I mean, I know he gets criticised for jumping in at training and these sorts of things. Maybe sometimes how he handles the media, because he's, most of them aren't the media's best friend. But he can do those things because he's just retired. Coaches, some that aren't even at his level, some might not have ever played first grade that are there, can't do those things. I see that as a luxury for the Tigers, that you can visually see your coach and what he wants from you. But look, like I said, I'm more than happy for him on the weekend. Let's just hope that he doesn't come to New Zealand and spoil the party this week.
Mate, well, let's get straight into that, because I know everyone listening, that's the game that they've highlighted this weekend. And, of course, the Warriors off the back of a bye, Tigers off the back of the win. But I think the main talking point has been Tanah Boyd, his selection in the 7 jersey, of course. Unfortunately, lost Lukey Met for the rest of the year, but in Tanah, a more than capable replacement, a guy who's been knocking on the door for a while, this whole year really, for an opportunity. 13 from 13 at cup level, 80% goal kicking, 16 try assists, defending at just under 88% of tackles made. Webby keeps crediting him for being the best trainer and putting the most pressure on in that environment. Do you think Tanner's just ready to go? He'll slot straight in?
I think he will, mate. I think he's ready-made for this, and he said his intentions already by not playing first grade and wanting to re-sign with the club. I think for me that speaks a lot about the culture the club's building, something that Tanner obviously wants to be a part of. And I think he will slot straight in. And Webby always speaks about, it's team first. And he seems like that player. We speak about, I was on the Sean Johnson Lounge the other week and he was on there with us. And, Webby rapped him and said that he's probably been the best trainer for that last month going against the first grade. And I mean, it's hard when you're in that New South Wales Cup position to be playing as good as you are and not be getting selected. But I think now we're going to see him probably reach his full potential that they thought he was at the Titans. He's a goal kicker. He will come in and do majority of the kicking in the last play, I believe. Plus, his running game is so underrated. I believe he is a really good runner of the footy, and I think he'll set that up with his pass, firstly. But for me, and probably for you and the Warriors fans, I reckon it's a reason to be excited. Sad that Lukey Met has obviously gone down with the injury, and it sort of seems what could have been. But now I don't think we've had depth like this before, where a number one half goes down who's in the race for Dally M, and you bring in another half who's just won all his games in New South Wales Cup, got the team facing history there, and now we get him in this first grade scenario, and most of the other pieces are still there. We know Chance will be coming back. Obviously, Barney's not there, but you've got the rest there that I think he can work with and he'll gel well with.
It's crack up for me because I feel like when this signing was announced for Tanah Boyd, a lot of Warriors fans were like, why are we signing him? A fringe first grader at the Titans. Like, why do we need to bring him to the club? Because everyone was so set on bringing in this big name 7. But now the narrative seems to have flipped. And the whole of last week, everyone was calling for him to start ahead of Tamaire, a guy who's done the job for us over the last couple of years in the 7 jersey. It's just goes to show, right? You need depth in the NRL. There's going to be injuries week in and week out. And having a guy like Tanner that you can call up, who's been carving up New South Wales Cup, but has done it on the NRL stage before, they can be invaluable.
Yeah, they can be, mate. And look, with him obviously coming in, I thought maybe they might switch to Mighty into the halves with him just because they had that connection in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
But, when you look back at things, Webby has kept Tamaiti on the bench to play that role. He can play anywhere in the backs, can come on a dummy half as well. But it is invaluable to your point that the Warriors, they haven't had too many injuries to start the year. They're starting to creep in now, but they have those players. And the good thing as well is at the club at the moment, I think Andrew McFadden and his staff have really done a great job in development. And they're taking their time with players in the sense that, you see a Leka Halasima and Dimitri, they've been in New South Wales Cup the last couple of years and biding their time. Even this year, they've had their games off the bench, but when they've been given their chance to start, they've shown they're ready. And I think that's a big tilt of the hat to the Warriors and their staff and their development program, to be honest, their pathway system. We can go on about the Haramats and all these teams winning, but I just think the way that they progress them and don't just chuck them into the fire straight away, I think's what's led to this, and it's sort of invaluable in that sense.
Oh, 100%. Another one you can make that argument for is Taine, who gets his opportunity at the back this week, but multiple other NRL clubs, he would be a starting fullback, if not a starting winger as well. This week, through injury, he comes in for Chance, and Tanah and Taine have a great combination as well, as was seen at New South Wales Cup level, but he's quite a different player to Chance. What do you think he will bring? Because you won't get those 250-odd run meters, but you do get a bit more ball playing. He's still just as brave as CNK. He's probably not as vocal on defense, but man, I know Warriors fans are excited to see him get an opportunity as well.
And he does do that, offer that sort of difference to Chance. We've seen Chance in that front line making numerous try-saving tackles, and Taine's going to have to put his body on the line at some stage this weekend, no doubt about it. But I think his kick returns, with Chance being the bigger body, he can run straight at someone and not get damage as much as Taine. But with Taine, we've seen him on the wing this year. When he cuts back midfield, he's causing all sorts of trouble for a tired defence. Now, what's going to be scary for the Tigers on the weekend is, let's say, the 60th minute or even 10 minutes to go in the first half, when they kick down and it's a staggered line. That's when I think Taine's going to be at his best. And you did speak about his ball playing. I don't think he's afraid. Neither is Chance, but I don't think that Taine's afraid to pull the trigger, let's say play one, if we want to shift it from a kick return. Like, I don't feel that he fears anything in that top grade. He's not always never probably is the biggest, but he takes everything on. And I'm looking forward to this, mainly his attacking side of the game this week, because I think, like I said, he offers something different than Chance. And we'll see how he works with the two halves.
DWZ back, which gives our back three a bit more experience, and I've never seen someone recover from a syndesmosis that quick. It's been like 2 weeks. When he said to me on League Lounge off air, he was like, I'm a shot for next week. I was like, there is no way, because that was meant to be a 6-week injury, but he comes back in, and I think his experience will be valuable for us. I did want to ask one thing, bro, because one thing which pisses me off so much is fans just going at him for always jamming in. Now, you've played NRL level as a centre. You've played a few games on the wing as well, so you're quite able to talk about this. That is not just a him decision, right? That is a defensive policy and a result of things inside him not going to plan that I think a lot of fans need to realise.
Yeah, and it's hard, mate. Like, I think, we'll give Shawnee another plug. Why not? on his league lounge with Sean Johnson. Geez, he gets them all the time from
Jeez,
us.
we have to invoice him. We have to start invoicing him.
But he does a good job explaining it, when he gets up on the wall and explains it. And majority of the time, and this is what's funny because, the backs and the forwards always clash. But if you're just coming up off your line as a unit and the winger rushes in for no reason, 100% Dallin's fault. But you see a lot of the times if they're sliding or if the half's gotten over past the back rower, it's usually that the back rower hasn't put pressure on or the forwards haven't pressured the half from the inside. So he'll have all the time in the world. And what you want to do as an outside back is try and force him to make a decision or throw it over the top. Mm-hmm. And if they are going to score, the best place for them to score is out wide on the wing. You don't want them going through you. Now, with Dallin, I know a couple of his things this year has, they've gone at him and Roger. And there's been situations where, yes, they could have held their nerve a bit longer. But to your point, mate, there's always more to the play than just that one little instance you see. It could even be a quick play the ball. The two people in the tackle don't hold him down and they're left on the ground. Like it's simple things like that. And there's usually a starting point when you go back, but it's not always Dallin's fault. Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of them will put their hand up on that.
Yeah, I think Warriors fans have been pretty well behaved this year, but that was one thing that I keep seeing that I just wanted to mention. Kurt Capewell named on an extended bench. We're recording this before Origin, but do you think he plays? There's a Wednesday to Sunday. That's the longest possible turnaround you could get. Do you think we see him come back in? Does he start? Marata to prop, Jacko Ford to the bench? Or do you think Webby will be a little cautious now that we've lost, say, a Mitch Barnett off the back of backing up? Was there a correlation? Not 100% sure. Now we've lost a Metcalf as well, losing a Capewell or risking that off the back of a physical Origin game. Do you think those decisions come into play?
I do. And that's a great point, Sully, because with Mitchy Barnett, obviously after that Origin, but Curdy Capes is a lot older as well. So you will be assessing him and also would depend on the result of Origin. Obviously, if you win, you're going to celebrate pretty hard.
True. I don't even think Game 3, Bender, in Sydney too. Worst places to do it.
Yeah. So, look, personally, if you're asking me if I'm Andrew Webster, I probably wouldn't play him because I'm looking at the ladder at the moment. And, I know teams are getting closer to the Warriors. We still got that 4-point buffer. I still think there's many games on our run home, or probably majority of them, that we should win starting this weekend. But I would rest him purely because all the reasons you mentioned, to be honest. The injury list already, the backing up, such a long turnaround as well. I think it's harder to back up after 4 or 5 days than it would be straight away. So for me, we want the Warriors to win. We always want the Warriors to win, but I don't think it's a must-win in the season and where we'd be in the standings for the rest of the year. So personally, I would rest Curdy Capes, and I think we already touched on the depth earlier. We've got enough depth there now to cover those positions.
Mate, the Tigers, when they play good footy, they can be incredibly dangerous, and you've probably spent more minutes watching them than anyone else in New Zealand at the moment. So what are the keys to kind of shutting them down? Obviously, Luai backing up, Uppy back is massive for their attack as well. Is it, what's the keys? Is it shutting down the middle, wrapping up Terrell May?
Personally, I think it's shutting down the middle first because they're at their best. Yes, obviously you've got Latu, Whanu and Jerome who can just go off the back foot and do something. The same as Terrell May. He's sort of will push away and get an offload. But when they're rolling, the thing is that brings Uppy Coruscant into the game. That's what you don't want. So personally, for the Warriors, not only do they need to start fast, I think they need to score early and really put the pressure on the Tigers. Because if the Tigers, like on the weekend against the Roosters, if they start to sniff that they're in the game, they've got a chance early on, then they'll start to, I think, roll with Upper Coruscant. They get Latu and Jerome into the game early, and they become a dangerous team. They do have strike all over the place. You've got Stafford Toa, who's He's in the Kiwis chat. I'm pretty sure
He must be
Yeah,
close. Like, he's been a great anytime try scorer this year. Always at good odds too.
great odds. And for him, like, he's had a super year. I think Samuel Afinu as well has had a good year in the back row. So they've definitely got the players there that can play some footy and cause teams harm. But I think for the Warriors, if they start fast and control that middle, if you can contain Api Coruscant for majority of it and have your halves playing off the back foot, I like their chances a lot.
When you look at the run home, bro, there's 9 games left. Round 22 and 23 are the ones that jump out for me as our biggest games in terms of toughest opponents. Finns at home, Dogs away. The remaining games, apart from that, are actually pretty nice for us. And there's no easy games in the NRL, but Knights away, Titans at home and away, Dragons and the Eels at home, and then Manly away. I like to get the old calculator out, the spreadsheet. I like to look ahead, as Warriors fans do. And I've got us winning, hopefully, at least 6 of those 9. I don't think that is unrealistic. Perhaps we drop 3 in there. I think that is pretty generous. That would see us locked into the top 4 for sure. How do you kind of feel this playing out? Because at the moment, there's a 4-point buffer. Broncos are starting to look good. Panthers are starting to come. But I think we've done enough of the hard yards early in the season where we should be locked in, hopefully.
Yeah, look, I think we should get the top 4. Now, I'll tell you what I've got, but I'll just put it here. Like, I did this before maybe the first bye when I was on with Sammy Hewitt on the commentary, and we looked ahead, and the Warriors draw was pretty, and I was realistic. I said, look, we'll probably lose these games, gave the boys a couple of losses, and obviously the games we've lost the last couple, I didn't have us losing all them. So it puts a bit of a spanner in the works, because I had us coming top 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really had us up there. I think we finished 4th. And I did get the NRL calculator out. I did go through the odds and try and predict the rounds. But I had us winning 6 games. So I allowed Manly that last round to be dropped.
Yep.
And obviously the Dolphins and the Dogs. We could win those games.
Yeah.
We could win those. But I just said, look, realistically, those 6 games we should win. We should beat the Knights away, the Titans home and away, the Dragons and the Eels. I realistically think we'll finish 4th. I think I had us 1 point ahead of the Panthers, who I had finishing 5th. And, a couple of weeks ago I had the Raiders finishing 1st, but I actually think the Storm will get the minor premiership now.
Oh, so we would go to Melbourne week 1.
We will go to Melbourne week 1, I predict. And, I think by then, the Warriors will be playing good footy. Those games are definitely winnable, and I like the chances. Certainly, top 4. I think we stay there. I think the 4 doesn't change.
No,
I think top 4
I
doesn't
agree,
change.
and I've seen a lot of panic amongst Warriors fans, but I think the hard work's been done, and this side is still quality. Yes, Barnett and Metcalf hurt, but we have the depth and the cattle ready to go. And, geez, what do you reckon? Tanah Boyd has an SJ in him over in Melbourne to make Sean Bloor go missing, or Ali Katoa, and put a second rower over in the corner. That would be nice.
Well, hey, I mean, there's no better way to make your name in first grade. And we know, look, he's a first grade player, but there's no better way to stamp your name in the game than dominating a Melbourne Storm team in Melbourne semi-final footy. So, hey, it's quite possible. I think Tanner could go over and do it. I think the Warriors could go over and do that if that's the way. But look, either way, to me, it looks like, say I'm wrong and the Raiders get first place. Either way would be on the road.
Yeah.
Either be to Canberra or to Melbourne. But yeah, I think either way, the Warriors would just be happy to be in the 4.
Yeah, big time. You buy that second life for sure. Triple header this weekend, which has me incredibly excited. Obviously, New South Wales Cup, they're going outstanding, and they will be down a couple of their key players this week as they play first grade, but in comes the likes of Jet Cleary and co, which is still going to be a great watch. The second game of the triple header for me is must-see stuff with our NRLW girls playing their first home game. Now, obviously, the weekend, the result didn't look great from the outside looking in, and I see a few people being pretty harsh, 30 points to 6. Not amazing in terms of scoreline, but when you factor in everything, Roosters defending champs,
Yep.
if you watched the game, you would have seen so much potential and so many positives in the way we played as well, both as a team and individually. I thought Patricia Maliepo was certainly potential to be player of the tournament if she continues to grow after that first hit out. But for you, I know you're involved in New Zealand Rugby League and in the grassroots. How cool is it to see the Warriors have an NRLW team again? And how impressed were you with that first performance despite the scoreline?
I was actually, well firstly, Silly, for the grassroots, I think it's massive that we have a men's and a women's team. I think it would only do wonders for New Zealand Rugby League if we were to get a South Island team in. I just think that the game would go.
So you're pro that because as a Warriors fan, I'm nervous because obviously I want us to have all the talent, but you don't think it would detach? It would just grow the game?
I think it'll grow the game and it'll grow the international game because you'll get a lot more New Zealand players quite possibly stay here.
True.
And, want to represent New Zealand. So I think it'll just grow the game and be better for New Zealand as a country and in international footy. I think it'll be better. But going back to the women's side, the Wahinis, I think that for the youth, I'm starting to see a change in a lot of young girls coming over to rugby league, and they really see it as a pathway. And I don't like, and this is nothing against rugby union, but the sevens hasn't been the same as it is. I think there's only 4 teams in the top, the Super Rugby for the women.
Yeah.
And you go against what is there now? How many? 12 or
I think
so teams? 12 teams in the NRLW, and that's only going to grow. I'm pretty sure in 2 years they'll chuck in another 2 teams, and before you know it, it'll be a full season competition. For me, I think the pathways are set, and now we've got a Warriors women team in. I love it. And on the weekend, once again, I don't want people to rush to judgment because this team spoke to Ronald Griffiths. He's doing great work all around the country too. He's been down here to visit some young ladies and take them through some drills, which is awesome for the game. But he mentioned 75% of them haven't played NRLW. Not only that, they didn't have a trial match going into this game against the Roosters. And I looked for me, the sign was looking to that first 15 minutes where they defended their line and came up with some big try savers to keep that score at 0-0 for majority of that, that opening half. And that was the positive for me. Like you, Maliepo, I thought was outstanding when she took the line on. And I think they're only going to get better as the season goes on. It would not surprise me at all, to be honest with you, Shirley, if they got up and won this weekend. I think back at home, emotion, adrenaline, people playing in front of their whānau, their people, I really think that the Warriors women's side could get up and beat the Eels, and it's a nice price at $2.25 too.
Oh, it's a great price.
Yeah, I'm actually stoked, like you are, that they are back in this competition because it means for us we get to watch more footy.
Yeah,
and cheer for the club that we love. So I hope they go well this week. If not, look, just stay with them for this year. Nothing's turned into a success overnight. You look at the Dolphins, haven't made the top 8 yet, and they've been in the competition 3 years. So it's going to turn. Let's just stay with them.
Oh, for sure. How good's Try July as well, by the way? Like, the women's team busted out that celebration. I think Nick Meaney won it on the weekend for sure, but how good is it? Like, everyone is getting so into it as well.
I don't know. You would have seen the Canberra Raiders women's team.
Oh, the milking. That was outrageous.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But look, that's the, I reckon, obviously for a great cause, but it's good that, no one's too cool. Everyone gets behind it. Personally, when I see the ones when they're down by 30 and they get into it, it does cringe me a little bit. But then again, you think, that's some money going to a good cause. So, but yeah, I love Try July.
Yeah.
I reckon we should extend it, or they should have something for another month somewhere in there. But it's come at the perfect time of the year. It's that mid-season, get them going, get the players thinking too, and it's always good to see new ones.
Oh, big time. Like bye-week footy, normally pre-origin, it's a bit dusty, but when you have DCE busting out the walking stick and like even him, like he's not known as a real larrikin, is he? But even he's getting around it. You can't help but smile. It's great stuff. In terms of other games this weekend, bro, just one that's caught your eye for me, Sharks Finns, but interested to see there's a couple other good ones too. Titans Broncos, maybe. What else is catching your eye this weekend in the NRL?
In the NRL this week, obviously for me, Roosters Junior.
Geez,
I
you've
love
done it all, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to a lot. I've been to a lot of clubs.
It's a great thing to have on your resume, though.
Is it?
Well,
Let
yeah,
go
it is,
by a
because,
lot, or-
you speak to club players that have been at 6 different clubs, and that's just grassroots. At least this was professional level.
Yeah, you. I suppose I know a lot of people in different circles, which is good.
Yeah.
But no, look, for me, that game, whenever the Roosters and Dragons play, we know how big Anzac Day is, but it just adds to that clash. And for me, I love the way the Roosters play rugby league at the moment. They're not afraid to throw the ball around. Obviously, Sammy Walker back in at 7, who we definitely know is not afraid to chance his arm. And I'm excited to see how this back line, if, those players play coming back from Origin, how this team looks fully fit, because they could be – now we know they can't win the comp. They've been beaten by 50. That goes to the script, but they will knock some teams off. And they're just an exciting team to watch play footy. And the other game, mate, is probably the Battle of the West. Even though Parramatta are down on troops, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a close game. And also whether or not the Panthers back up. Now they've not coming second last. They can maybe afford to rest one or two. Be interesting to see whether that changes anything. But I think Parramatta will be in for a fight.
Final question, hypothetical here. You're a top 4 team. You're playing an elimination final, so you must win. Which of these 3 teams do you least want to play? The Broncos, the Panthers, the Roosters? Because to me, those are the... Oh, you could chuck Manly in there. Which of the 4? Manly probably the 4th ranked of those, but those appear to me to be the teams that are probably the most likely to cause some trouble. Finns even. Okay, let's just say, which team would you be most scared of at the moment?
Oh, mate, it's definitely Penrith.
Yeah.
If it's an elimination final, like, don't get me wrong, all those other teams, then you could probably chuck the Broncos in. Like, there, you've got Adam Reynolds, Ben Hunt back this week.
Yeah.
Could be in at 9, most probably. I haven't really seen their team list.
Yeah, he
but
is. Yeah.
he is at 9. Like, that's scary in itself. But I'm just go to the experience and the big game players. Now, Penrith in those scenarios, there's no one better over the last 5 or 6 years. And even though it's not the same team, and we'd be scared playing, the rest of them, because they'll just throw the ball around and play that good style of footy. I think when it gets to that real drag them down to the dark place sort of area, Penrith do it better than most. As we saw against the Bulldogs the other week. Bulldogs were outstanding, but that last 20, Penrith just had that little extra lift, and they just know how to do it better. So for elimination game in your versus Penrith, you'd be at some odds.
Surely they can't pull off the 5B, but appreciate your time, bro. Are you on the commentary this weekend for Sport Nation?
Yes, I will be there. I try and get there early so I can get one of the wieners.
Oh, the Fritz Wieners.
Yeah, the Fritz Wieners. Love one of them with the mustard and the ketchup. So I'm usually a spicy.
Oh, you a spicy?
I'm a spicy man. Yeah,
You're
so
braver than me. I'm a straight up just standy.
Yeah, no.
Even the mustard sometimes gets me. It's got a little kick to it, I'm a pretty mild operator, mate.
Yeah, but I usually get it all across my face, so I give myself some time to clean up. But I like to sit in the stands just down below and sit by myself for a bit and just observe the footy. So I'll definitely be there watching the New South Wales Cup game, and hopefully I'll get to catch most of that the women's game before I have to go do some duties.
Shit, you're a real purist, mate. Love to see it. But enjoy your Sunday at Mount Smart. And hopefully, I assume you're cheering for the Warriors. So hopefully it's a 3 from 3, mate.
I might just pack both jerseys just in case.
Oh, there we go. If you see it, mate, the halftime switcheroo. Classic gag.
Yeah. Now, enjoy the space, mate.
15-man code, Rugby Union, All Blacks 31, France 27. A win for the boys at the Sistema lunchbox, but geez, was this a game that's dominated headlines for all the wrong reasons, really. 3 disallowed tries, 2 of them probably the correct calls. That obstruction call I certainly disagreed with, but still, that's not the point for me. This just underlines the bigger issue with rugby at the moment, and I think it's about time we come up with a new protocol that the TMO can rule on when it comes to international footy, whether it's foul play only, that's the only time they can interject, whether it's foul play and knock-ons in the lead-up, then they can jump in, or whether we just roll with how it is at the moment and let them go off everything. For me, it should be foul play only, and it really does have to be an act of foul play. None of this head-on-head collision or anything like that. It has to be downright foul play, otherwise the TMO stays out of it. The fact as well, at international level, we have 2 TMOs in the box running a microscope over every play, looking basically for something wrong to disallow a try. It goes against the spirit of the game for me. I think Super Rugby got it right this year. Foul play or the phase leading up to the try only. The fact we have scrum clocks and line-out clocks in order to speed up the game and make it a more interesting spectacle for spectators to watch, but then we have the stoppages for 2 to 3 minutes after a try is scored, where a TMO will just go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. It just defeats the purpose for me. The anxiety when your team scores a try and you wait for the try to be awarded is not what rugby needs to attract fans back into the game. And the fact it's even more confusing for the crowd at the stadium because they can't hear the commentary, they can't hear what is being discussed, they only see the end outcome in the multiple replays on the big screen. Half the time the casual fan who's 5 beers deep, he's had 2 Fritz's wieners, he's ripping into some of those mini donuts, and fuck good on him, because geez are they tasty, but they don't even know what's going on. That is not going to get bums on seats, and I'll end the rant right there, but I think rugby does have a big problem, and it wasn't just evident in the All Blacks versus France game. Fiji robbed of an opportunity to win the game against Australia as well. Man, it's just a tough watch at times, and I mentioned it before, but you're watching games with your mates, the All Blacks score a try, you're up and about, then it gets brought back and ruled out. You just feel like a bit of a dick, to be honest. But anyway, back to the code, the product that we saw on the park from the 30 lads, or should I say the 46 lads that took the field down in Dunedin. I really enjoyed the way the All Blacks played. Of course, the end result wasn't quite the margin that many of us were hoping for, but I enjoyed the manner in which we went about our work. I thought we moved the ball to the edges, we had fast ruck speed, we ran the ball back on counter-attacks. D-Mac came into the game early doors. Sevu Reece, shout out to him, poor bloke, knocked out in the first minute. Certainly how he didn't see his first All Blacks test of 2025 playing out. But when Will Jordan moved to the wing, D-Mac to the back, I thought Damien was really good on his kick return. Shit is he brave, and it reminded me almost of an NRL fullback at times. We just saw him catch the ball, basically haul ass just to try get back over halfway in the middle of the paddock so that we could start our attacking shapes from great field position. He copped a few shots in doing so too. Didn't seem to worry him, he just bounces back up. But I loved that. I really enjoyed us not just kicking the ball back aimlessly and getting involved in a force back battle with the French, which I think would have suited their style of play. Instead, Damien just tucked the nut under his wing, carried hard, and off we went from there. I thought that was really pleasing to see. I thought we brought some razzle-dazzle to this game. We looked to play up-tempo and an attacking style of play. We weren't always accurate with it, and I expect us to be better in this test at just minimising some of those errors and executing things a little bit better. But I did enjoy what we tried to do. I thought last year we played pretty similar to those Northern Hemisphere sides, box kicking all the time, kicking drills, aerial threats, trying to win that battle through the air. This game though, I thought we played more of that New Zealand style of footy, and I think more of that Razor style of footy too, which left me feeling bloody good at the back end of this game. As I said, the score wasn't what we'd hoped for, but I thought the method in which we went around our work was great to watch, and I also think if you throw in those disallowed tries, then the score would have been bloody good, and the whole narrative would have changed around this result as well. Also, you can't discredit the French. I think they've been underestimated all week. I tried to warn people last week that they have depth in French rugby at the moment, and they were a better side than people were saying. They had a clear game plan: win the kicking game, win the aerial battle, put the ball in the right areas, force the All Blacks into mistakes, and then take the points whenever they were on offer. I thought they executed that really well. They applied a shit ton of pressure to us as well. A game that, 1 point lead with 10 minutes to go before we kicked over that penalty. It was bums on edge of seat. At the same time, I had this weird feeling we were never going to lose that game, but shit did we have to work hard for this one. I thought our debutants all looked really good. Fabian Holland and Christian Welly in particular. I thought they looked really comfortable at the international level of play. Shit, is Fabian Holland a big body, loves the physical stuff, and I thought Welly handled himself really nicely as well. I thought Bodie Barrett was good. A couple nudges that I still didn't like, a little bit of senseless kicking, but you see that at every grade now. I thought his passing game for his try assist was really good, and I mentioned Damian McKenzie before. I thought he was really brave at the back. Will the Thrill, Death, Taxes, and Will Jordan for a meaty. Fuck, is he a great finisher. I was pretty gutted to not see him play 15 because I do think he's the world's best fullback at the moment. The South African back three, probably hot on his heels, but shit, is he a world-class winger at the same time as well. And if that is your backup, go-to contingency plan when you suffer an injury early doors in a test match, then it's a bloody good option to have. Overall, I thought we played a decent game. It's just those finishing touches that you almost can't really expect from an All Blacks first test. It was probably exactly what we've seen from them in years gone past as well too. We always start a little rusty, some new connections and combos that are yet to click into full gear just yet. I expect us to be a whole lot better this week, and while the weather doesn't exactly look like it's going to allow for running rugby at the Cape Town, I really do hope we stick to that exciting style of play. Shit, watching them throughout phase play, there was times there where we ran 3 or 4 different attacking patterns and maps all in the one sequence. Made me bloody excited, in particular for the South Africa tests coming up, and I touched on them last week, but watching South Africa over the weekend, they're playing an exciting brand of footy as well. I think if we stick to our guns and really look to nail this style of footy, then we're going to be a bloody hard side to beat come September. In terms of this week, of course, team's not out at time of naming, but personally, Sevu Reece ruled out, so I would love to see Amoni Narawa come straight onto the wing for Sevu, and then keep Will the Thrill at 15. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we see that same backline as last week. D-Mac at the back, Will on the wing. It's not what I want, but let's wait and see. I think Amoni really would suit the way we're wanting to play at the moment too. Such strike on the edge, can offload, can chip kick, full skill set, can really make defenders look foolish one-on-one too. So I reckon he'll be a great addition in the 14 jersey, but let's wait and see. Apart from that, I don't think they changed too much selection-wise. I think Scotty Barrett out for the rest of the series, obviously, with that baby cow tear. They opted not to replace him in the squad, which I thought was interesting. I thought an Ethan Blackadder probably come in as injury cover, not to be though, so I'm thinking Tupou Vaa'i to lock, where he will partner with Fabian Holland, and then probably Sammy Penny-Finau to 6, with Patrick Tuipulotu coming onto the Rimu. I think Razor will want to make a statement in this one, and in tough conditions, I think they roll up the sleeves. Another big physical powerful forward pack, the French. You never quite know what to expect from them week to week, but I think they would have seen enough from that first game and taken enough positives to think that they nailed their game plan in that one, and they will look to run it back yet again. I'm just not too much sure how much better they can play as compared to the first test, where I still think we have about another 20 to 30% at least improvement in us. So looking forward to this one. For me, I think the All Blacks get it in that 11 to 20 margin, and yes, I said that last week, but this week I'll back the boys to do just so. Not sure if this is the week we see Tavatawa Nawai off the Rimu as well, but I am just itching to see him get a go at test level, so if it is, then that will be an incredibly exciting watch off the bench as well. In terms of other results from the weekend that went down, the Māori, unfortunately, they lost to Scotland at the death in Whangarei after that black Ferns probables versus possibles game, which was a good watch too. Japan bet Wales to win their first test since 2023. Eddie Jones continuing to pile the hurt on this Welsh team who seems to be going from low to low. Shit are they battling at the moment. South Africa, they bet Italy. Italy came back in the second half and finished this game pretty strongly. Shout out to South Africa too. Their bomb squad has become such a thing that when these lads run on off the bench, they're letting off fireworks at the moment, which seems insane. As a player, you're almost thinking it's cooler to come off the pine, and they're probably scrapping it out to see who comes off the Remu rather than starting because it's almost got more prestige. But their back three just breaking ankles left, right and centre. Cheslin Colby, what a fucking footballer. He probably has to be the best winger in world rugby at the moment and probably the best attacking player as well. His feet, skill set for such a small bloke, he's rapid too. Fuck, he would be an ankle's worst nightmare. I retired on the weekend, but playing that bloke, shit, I would have retired 10 years ago. He is a scary sight. One of those blokes, if you didn't know who he was, you just fly up thinking you're going to dominate him in the collision, turn around, and he's already beat you by 20 metres. Off he trots in for a meaty. Wax of doom right there. And then Fiji, bloody unfortunate to go down to the Wallabies at the death. Was watching this game live from Super Sunday on my Sky Sport now, and shit was I hoping they would pull off this upset. They deserve to as well. Friend of the show, Salesi Rayasi, old Say Lessie, Shooter's cousin of course, playing some good code for them on debut, bagged himself a nice meaty too, and it looks like they were going to be strong enough just to pull off the upset dub in Newcastle. Wallabies score a meaty at the death to come away with the dub. Again though, TMO controversy in this one probably robbed the Fijians of a famous result. So this week, games to watch. Japan, they go at it again with Wales. That'll be a goodie. Fiji host Scotland in Suva. Shit, it doesn't get any easier for the Scots. They'll be up for it over there. No doubt a packed Fijian crowd, a passionate bunch. Not often they get home tests over there. So that'll be bums on seat stuff. Of course, All Blacks versus France. Mentioned that one before. Spoke about her in depth. Up the ABs. South Africa, they will play Italy again. Argentina get a shot at redemption against the English after a bed shit from them last week. They got absolutely put to the sword by a B team for the English. Game I'm really keen to watch though is the Anzac International 15. This team is stacked. They're taking on the Lions, which is going to be a great watch. Saturday night, 10 p.m. The Lions playing some great code. Of course, we all know how stacked they are, but this Anzac team, an exciting matchup right here. Shooter, David Harvey, Shannon Frizzell, Nani Laumape, Falau Fakatava, AJ Lamb, Hoskins Satutu, Kurt Eklund, Josh Fusitua off the back of a massive Super Rugby campaign where I think he walked away with the Blues MVP award, and he was probably bloody close to making the All Black squad as well. Those guys link up with the likes of Marika Betty, Taine Edmed as well from the Aussies, and they could form a pretty lethal 23. And I think the Lions, they will know that this game presents a potential massive upset threat right here. I'd love to see the Anzac pull it off. This, to me, games like this is exactly why you love a Lions tour. It's the midweek games against the Super Rugby sides, against teams like this, which makes it so special. Of course, that first Wallabies test next weekend, so this is kind of the final hit out for this Lions team. It's going to be a bloody good game. Bums on seats for sure. 10 p.m. on a Saturday. Perfect timing after that All Blacks game. This is must-watch stuff. Anzacs 1-12. I would love to see it, and I'll be jumping on Shooter for an anytime media as well. His last game on New Zealand or Australian soil before he jumps across to Japan. So go well there, horse. But another massive weekend of international code. You got to love it this time of year. Fuck, are there games galore. North versus South Hemisphere derbies all over the show. I think Samoa, Tonga, they kick into gear over the next couple weeks as well. They'll be taking on Scotland and the like. So exciting times if you froth the 15-man code. There's going to be some doozies for you to tuck your teeth into over the next couple of months. How bloody good. Right, punting chat now, of course, courtesy of our great mates at the TAB. Let's kick her off with your Friday night footy. Rugby League God's game sees the Sharks host the Finns. Bloody interesting game, this one. Sharkies $1.62 favourites. The Finns paying $2.30. The Sharks are the only team yet to beat the Dolphins in the comp, so the Dolphins love taking them on. The Dolphins have scored 184 points in their last 4 games. The Sharks have only won 1 of their last 5, so fair to say the Finns are definitely the form side out of these two. Anytime you get Sharks taking on Finns, 2 great sea animals, you know it's going to be a heck of a battle. For the Dolphins, your try scorers, Herbie Farnworth, he scored 9 tries in his last 10 NRL games, and he scored in each of his last 3 straight against the Sharks as well. You can get $2.40 odds for him, which I think is pretty generous. The Hammer, if he does back up, probably unlikely after 48-hour turnaround, but hey, crazier things have happened. It helps this game's in Sydney as well, only a short distance from a core stadium, so he doesn't even have to travel to link back up with his side, but he scored 7 tries in his last 3 games and 3 tries in his last 4 against the Sharkies. $2.05 for him if he manages to dot down for the Sharkies. Ronaldo Mulitalo, he scored 38 tries in 37 games at Shark Stadium and 2 tries in his last 2 games against the Finns, paying $1.80. Will the Thurl Kennedy, he scored 2 tries in his last 2 games against the Finns as well, and he's paying $3.15. My same game multi for this one, Finns, Hammer, Herbie, $7.28 with Herbie at $2.40, my best try scorer for your Super Saturday. First game sees the Knights paying $4, host the Storm, $1.25. The Knights have won their last 2 against the Storm at home, so maybe there's an upset in the water. The Storm, though, they've won 12 of their last 14 games against the Knights. The Knights have lost 6 of their last 7 games at home as well, but the Storm have conceded 147 points in their last 5 games. Bellamy will be furious at that stat. For your try scorers, Knights, Dommy Young, 24 tries in his last 24 games at McDonald Jones Stadium. He's also scored 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Storm, paying $2.15. Dylan Lucas bagged a double in his last game against Melbourne, hasn't scored in his last 5, so maybe he can snap that streak in the drought and dot here, paying $3.50. For your Storm try scorers, Nick Meaney, the Aura Farmer, he's scored in his last 3 straight games against the Knights. He's also scored 3 tries in his last 2 games and is paying $2.45 here. Tyrone Wishart, he scored 3 tries in his last 3 against the Knights as well, and he's paying $3.15. And Jerome Hughes, the headgear assassin, he scored 2 tries in his last 3 games against the lads from Newey as well. Same game multi in this one. I do think the Storm win, but keep an eye on their Origin players. They're all named on an extended bench to back up at the moment. If a couple of them don't, Munster in particular, of course, mourning the loss of his dad, if he doesn't lace up the boots, the Knights at $4, still a bit of a stretch, but them to cover the line could be a good play there. For your try scorers, Dommy Young, Nick Meaney, wrap that up into an SGM. Dragons, $2.55. Roosters, $1.52. The Dragons have won 4 of their last 5 at home, but the Roosters have won 12 of their last 14 against the Dragons, and the Dragons have conceded 134 points in their last 4 games. Leaky sieve on D, and this high-octane Roosters attack is going to lap that up, of course. Sammy Walker back in the halves as well. They are going to be all go. Origin lads backing up. They'll be stinging off the back of that loss to the Tigers last week. I reckon they get to humping here. For the Roosters try scorers, Teddy, he scored 9 tries in his last 6 against the Dragons. A great try scoring rate right there. $2.40, that's a steal for him. Marky Mark, Nwanganetawasi, 4 tries in his last 2 games, doubles in both. He's $1.58 anytime, which is the slimmest margins of the weekend, but $2.85 for 2 or more. Back on the wing as well. That's a bloody good bet. For the Red V, Jaden Sewer, 150th NRL game. He's paying $5 for a milestone meaty, and he's actually scored 3 tries in his last 5 games against the Chooks, which isn't a bad strike rate for a second rower. For my same game multi though, Chooks get the job done, and then I'm going Teddy and Mark, $4.31. Pretty straight bet stuff, but it could be a nice little Saturday fill up for the middle game of the 3. Then you can roll that into the Cowboys, $2.90 up against the Dogs, $1.42. The Cows have won 6 of their last 8 against the Doggies. but they've only won one of their last 4 games at home. Queensland Country Bank Stadium, a place which used to be a fortress, this year hasn't proven to be of that effect. The Dogs have won 6 of their 8 away games as well this season, so they don't mind being on the road. For your Doggies try scorers, Jacob Keraz, he scored 9 tries in his last 6 games at Queensland venues, paying $1.73. Jacob Preston, 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Cows at $2.50. And Joshy Curran, if you want to get a little Ivan Leary, chase something at odds off the Remu, 3 tries in his last 5 games against the Cows, $6.25. Not bad odds for the ex-Warrior there. For the Cowboys, Scotty Drink, 5 tries in his last 6 games and 3 in his last 3 games against the Dogs. $2.80 seems great value for him. I like the Dogs here. I do think this game is going to be close though, especially if the Cowboys Origin lads all back up. But I'm going to go Dogs into Preston and Drinky, $9.67. Super Sunday, Lip Liquor, Warriors, $1.36, Tigers, $3.10. The Warriors, they've won their past 8 straight against the Tigers. How fucking good. Cop that, Benji's boys. The Tigers, they also haven't bet the Warriors in New Zealand since 2016. Some quick math that leads me to believe that's been 9 long years, and that ain't changing this weekend. We've only won 2 of our last 5 games, but fuck that. That does not matter. Tanner's here, Taine is here, Dell is back early. The boys are going to be humming, fresh off the back of a bye. Yes, the Tigers looked decent last week, pulling off the upset against the Chooks, but that doesn't matter. Webby will have the boys ready to rip in. 2 points here could prove crucial for this back 9 of our season. Can't wait to watch this game and the triple header that we are going to be treated to. For your Warriors try scorers, Wets, Adam Pompey, 3 tries in his last 4 games against the boys from Balmain, paying $2.60. Lecker, $3.30, scored in his last 4 straight games off the bench. Named to start here, but Capewell on an extended. Personally, I think, much like we spoke about with Blake, that Marata would move into the middle. Lecker would still start, but if they do a bit of last-minute tinkering, keep an eye on that. Even if Lecker starts, I reckon the Tigers have PTSD. Jack Bird especially, from when Lecker took his soul the last time these 2 teams played. One of the great individual tries to steal us the victory in Campbelltown. He's a great shout at $3.30. For the Tigers, Charlie Staines, old shitty, he has scored 5 tries in his last 6 games, but best bets for the West, we are leakiest on our right, which means Stafford Toa and Will Skelton on the Tigers' left side attack. They will be licking their lips. We've conceded 62% of our tries on that edge. So Skelton, 220, big body, would prove hard to stop. And Stafford Toa, a man who's been scoring tries at a pretty good rate this year, $3.40, not bad odds for him. A same game multi though, you already know, Waz get this one for me. So I'm going Warriors into Toa and Lecker, $14.73. I think Tanah Boyd, just one of those nice little short kick targets for Lecker there. He will get aerial, come down with it, as we've seen him do so many times already this year for Meaties. I think he's scored 6 this season, which is pretty outstanding. Eels versus Panthers. Panthers, they are back and humming. Eels debut for Talon De Silva, but I don't think that'll be enough to get them the dub at CommBank. Panthers lads, all named to back up. Of course, recording this before Origin, so barring any injuries, they will be good to go. And for me, Ivan's lads are back now. This is where the going gets tough. The tough get going, and I expect the 4-time defending champs to be too good. Chuck Bryan To'o in there, along with the Milky Man, old Jenkins, for some anytime try scorers. And then Titans versus Broncos to round us out. Titans $3.45, Bronx $1.32. The Titans have won 3 of their last 4 against the Broncos. They've only won 1 of their last 5 games at home though. And interestingly, Des Hasler, he's won 3 of his last 4 games against Madge Maguire coach sides as well. So in terms of the battle of the coaches there, Desi's got the arm up over Madge at the moment, and those stats suggest Titans, juicy odds for your Broncos try scorers. Karapani scoring them for fun at the moment. 6 in his last 4 games. He's paying $1.65. He's a bloody good bet, as is his centre partner, Shibasaki, the Japanese cuisine. 6 tries in his last 3 games. All of them actually 3 doubles. $1.83 anytime he's paying, $3.90 for 2 or more. Some good value there. Also, speaking of value, Benny Hunt, the cunt, he scored 9 tries in his last 9 games at Seabus Super Stadium. He is back, fresh off injury, the first time we get to see their high-octane spine all lace up the boots together. He's paying $4.50 to dot. For the Titans, Jojo Fafita, no relation to the chicken fajita, David Fafita, but he scored 3 tries in his last 2 games against the Bronx, so he's a bit of a centre special for you there. Same game multi, I'm going to go the Titans, plus 10.5 on that point start. I think they will be good enough to cover this. Yes, the Bronx are hot to trot, but they've got guys backing up from Origin too. Perhaps they pick up a couple dings. I reckon the lads from the Goldie will be up for this one. So Titans plus 10.5 into Katapani and Fafita. $6.76 to round out your rugby league betting. Then for the All Blacks, I like them to win by 11 to 20 points. Winning margin, $3.40. Made this bet last week. I'm running it back though. You best believe, I reckon we get the job done in about that amount. Some windy, wet conditions expected in Wellington, but I expect the boys to go up another level and get the job done. I reckon that's pretty lucrative odds for that margin. For your try scorers, wicked wingers, whoever it is named on the sting, get around it. If it ain't Will Jordan, get on him too if he's named at fullback, because he just scores tries for fun. First, second or third try scorer, whoever is on our right sting, jump on board. Rico Ioane, he's due. Surely he snaps that. And Billy Proctor, if he's named in the centres again, I also like him. International rugby multi for you as well. Fiji, I like them to get the dub against Scotland. Argentina, I reckon they bounce back after a piss-poor performance against England last week and right their wrongs. And Japan, I reckon they go 2 from 2 against the Welsh, who suck shit at the moment. So Fiji, Argentina, Japan, all head-to-head. That's paying $6.93. Certainly not the worst odds right there at the old tea and biscuits. Q&A, chuck the stories up. Been a while since I've done one of these actually, so shout out to everyone for firing their questions through. Gone through and picked out the best 3, which we will rip into this week. And then next week, I'll look to tuck into more of those as well. First one, Nick Nath, are you worried about the Eden Park record when the Box come to our shores? Absolutely I am. Shit, are they a good team to watch at the moment? 1 to 23, they just know what style of footy they want to play, and it's actually a different style of code to what we seen them play last year. They're using the ball a whole lot more. You can definitely see that Tony Brown influence, and they've got the players to do it. They've got the attacking threats out wide and the skill set in their forward pack, in particular in their loosies, to be able to move the seed quickly, interchange short passes, long passes to release the backs and play some razzle-dazzle code. So that game at Eden Park is going to be massive. Of course, it's sold out bloody quick, and there's going to be so many South African fans in attendance as well. I think we get them at Eden Park. It's that one in Wellington, that Kerrs venue down there, that I'm more worried about. So I think we split it 1-1 if I'm being perfectly honest. But that Eden Park one, I think as soon as the draw came out for 2025, that was the one that all rugby fans, not just in New Zealand, but in South Africa and around the world, probably circled. This is going to be a great test for us to see where we're at. We'll be a few games deep by then as well. And that is the game that I just can't wait to see. As I said last week, I'd fuck off this French series just to bring on that game right now. Eden Park, though, a massive psychological advantage for us, and I think the boys will do everything they can in their powers to get the dub there. Hopefully Scotty Barrett back, and we are back to full strength as well, so that all our cattle is available for selection for that game in particular. That one is going to be massive. Can't wait to be in the stands. Was lucky enough to cop a ticket for that game. Next one, Taylor CG. Are you sad your playing career for Northcote is over, and what does the future hold for you at the Coat? Yeah, I am, especially the way we went out, losing in a quarter-final like that. There was chat we were going to be the lucky loser, but Bays, they tipped up Taka, so our season was over, and it was just a gutting way to go down, unfortunately. Thought we were going to win that game, got it back to 28-26, all momentum was going our way, but Massey struck twice late to put the old nail in the coffin. It's been a great time playing Code, loved it, representing the Coat, been there now for I think at least 14, 15 seasons, lucky enough to win a couple championships and a couple runners-up, lost a shit ton of semi-finals, but I think the most positive thing for me, my first year we came dead last, so to see how far the club has come in that time is just huge. Really going to miss lacing up the boots, more so for the off-field antics, the locker room camaraderie, nothing better than getting the dub, having a beer with the lads in the sheds and in the shower afterwards, singing the team song. It's just not going to hit the same doing it from a coaching level. And in terms of what comes next, yeah, look, certainly we'll be looking to help out with the coaching staff in any way possible. Would love to help out with the backs, maybe some attack stuff, whether that's kicking, goal kicking, helping just basically with the back line, pick that so that the head coach can worry about attack and defensive formations and things like that. So I'll be chucking my hat in the ring to help out the coaching staff, whoever they may be next year, but I'll certainly be around at the Coat, probably spending just as much time there, if not more. Just won't be on the playing paddock. 158 games, I think, 157 maybe. It was time to hang up the boots, let the old knees rest and get out alive so that I can still walk and run for my future years, the back half of the life you could say, or the back 2/3 you'd certainly hope. Don't plan on dying anytime soon, but you never know. But yeah, still be at the Coat, we'll be giving it my best, helping out and just moving into that coaching role. Would love to take that pretty seriously as well, so we will see how things go. But shout out to Taylor CG as well, the man behind the Northcote supporters Instagram page. Did a bloody good job there this year, made some sick content, no doubt only the start of things for him too. So good on ya there, lad. And then the final question, where do you think Morgan Gannon will fit into the Warriors next season? Who drops out for him to come in? Yeah, pretty good signing. Versatile bloke, only 21 years old. Already has an impressive CV, of course. Out of the Super League, played for the Leeds Rhinos. I think he's already played over 50 games for them. Can play second row, can play lock. Has played a game at 6 as well. I think he's a big body, about 6'3". He's over 100 kegs as well. Reminds me a bit of like a Bailey Sirenen type of operator, but his ceiling is probably a bit higher. No disrespect to Bailey. I thought he did a bloody good job for us, but keen to see how he goes. Of course, not easy to transition from the Super League across to the NRL, but in saying that, whenever those players have had success, they have been forwards, and I think he will be stoked to get a crack at the highest level of the game and under Andrew Webster, who I think will bring the best out of him. In terms of who drops out, look, I'm not sure if he makes our best 17, to be honest, but he is a classy lad from the highlights that I've seen and the footage that I've seen. I'm really keen to see how his game transitions over to the NRL, and I think we'll get a great indication of that in the preseason. He certainly looks like one for the future. We've got him for 3 years, so I don't think they'll rush it. Second rowers, though, we're stacked there with young, up-and-coming Kiwi lads, plus your Kurt Capewells. Lock, Aaron Clark, going unreal there at the moment. Maybe you could slot him into the bench. Not sure if Tamaite Martin will still be with us next year. Haven't heard many updates around his contract, so maybe there'll be a bench spot opening up, although you'd have to think Sam Healy walks straight into that 14 role there surely. So not sure if he comes straight into the 17, but certainly a player to watch and a great depth pickup. Could end up just being a part of the stacked New South Wales Cup side and waiting for opportunities, or his game could translate so well that he just becomes a must play. Either way, I think he was a handy pickup for good coin as well, and someone that I think in a couple years' time we will be highlighting a lot and saying what a quality footballer they are. So great questions, 3 of the best. Appreciate ya. We'll look to run it back next week and tuck into more of those as well. Right, that's us for the pod this week. Again, apologies for the voice. She wasn't quite as crisp as she normally is. Still struggling with benderitis, but you get that on the big jobs. Hopefully next week with a weekend off the steam planned at this stage, but you never quite know what way she goes. Super Sunday at Mount Smart. I might be tricked into a couple beers, but fingers crossed that is not the case. So hopefully the voice will be firing on all cylinders next weekend, and we will be back to full strength. Enjoy your weekends of sport, plenty to tuck the teeth into. If you're playing grassroots code this weekend, go well. In particular, if you're in a semi-final in the North Harbour competition or in any competition at the moment, knockout footy, knockout sport, it's what you live for. So hope the results go your way. Catch you back out, same time, same place next week. Good luck on the punt at the TAB if you're having a flutter. Hopefully, green ticks on bet slips for you. That is always the goal. How good.